Okay, so because this archaic book exists that some people have claimed to be divinely inspired, and there's absolutely nothing to show that it has or it was or ever could be divinely inspired. It's full of horrible, vile portrayals of genocide and rape and subjugation of other people. Anybody who wasn't the chosen people were okay to wipe out. You know, it's funny. It's like the more enlightened Americans who actually understand what happened to the Indians, the Native Americans who lived here before Europeans came. Those of us who think it's really despicable what was done to the Native people here already. You know, some of those people don't even blink at the idea of what Moses and the Israelites did when they went into the Promised Land and basically conquered every last thing that stood in their way, that were already living there. Oh, sorry, God's given this land to us. You're in the way, and wipeout time. Everybody gets to die. It's basically what happened to the Native Americans here in America, only I think on an even worse scale, because the biblical accounts kind of make it sound like major massacre after massacre, with nobody really getting to survive it. Or if they did survive it, they became slaves to the victors, or at least the virgin girls did. The ones that had not ever been with a man, after getting to watch their entire family get wiped out, they got to become sex slaves for the soldiers of Israel. Yeah, that's actually in the Bible. 3,200 women, girls, children, I'm sure children, because, you know, back then, people didn't live very long, and these would be girls that had never been with a man. So anyway, I'm rambling. But because of people wanting to insist that this primitive, barbaric, bloody, and I'm sorry, I find it repulsive book, they want to insist that it's inspired by a invisible man in the sky that they have absolutely no proof exists. Because of this, we've got yet again the progress that women have made in my lifetime, just in my lifetime, is actually going backwards. When I was in my 20s and 30s, there wasn't discussion like, oh, well, we think that if a woman is raped and she conceives, she should be able to have an abortion. You think? How about if a woman has sex for pleasure and gets pregnant, even though she's on birth control, or even though the guy she has sex with guarantees that he's using condoms and these condoms aren't 20 years old. Okay. And so she gets pregnant accidentally. Let's punish her. Yeah, let's punish her for doing what every male on the planet does, and enjoying casual sex like every male on the planet does, because every male on the planet doesn't have these consequences if something should happen. But if something should happen to a woman who wants to have the same freedom to enjoy casual sex as men do, she gets to be punished for it, for having an accident of nature. She gets to be punished for it. Even if she doesn't want to have the baby, even if, she say she doesn't even like kids. Let's say she doesn't even like babies. Let's say she hates babies. Believe it or not, there are women out there who don't like kids. Let's just say not only does she not like kids, she doesn't want to have a baby. She doesn't want to go through carrying one for 9 months and getting to be sick. She's a career person. She's got a job. She wants to go places with her life. She doesn't want to be getting up in the morning throwing up. She doesn't want to be dealing with prenatal care and all this stuff that goes along with 9 months of carrying a baby she doesn't want. Some women just don't want to have a baby. Some women don't want to have their bodies change, which is what pregnancy does to women. Some women just don't want to. So what? They should just never have sex? Why don't they just become nuns? I'm sorry, it's not right. Sex is a pleasurable thing for women, just like it is for men. Are we going to go back to the day where we're supposed to deny half the population of this world the ability to have meaningful physical relationships with people? Ooh, because we don't want them to get pregnant, because if they get pregnant, then they have to have the baby whether they like it or not. Because why? Their government says that their breeding stock, if they get pregnant accidentally, they suddenly become the property of either the man who happens to have impregnated them, even if it's a rapist, or it's the property of the government. We're going back in time. When I was in my 20s and 30s, women, if they got pregnant and they didn't want the baby, they'd go get an abortion. They would, if they were really incredibly, they didn't have stuff keeping them from it or whatever. Some of them had babies and put them up for adoption. But you know what? That's not a really good answer. I'm the product of an adoption. I was put up for adoption because my mom got pregnant, and it was an accident, and it was embarrassment to her family, because back then honor students were not, let's just say that this, according to the story I've been given, this pregnancy was hidden from everybody. My mom was apparently still in school. Okay, so I was given up. I was put in the foster care system. This was a long time ago when the foster care system actually worked, and I, as far as I know, had a reasonably nice first 9 months, and I got to be adopted into a family. Well, you know what? They didn't ever go back and check in on my family. They never checked in on it, to see how I was being cared for or what was happening. My dad died when I was 6, and I got to be raised by a mom who, at the time I thought she was pretty okay normal, but she wasn't okay normal. And a lot of things she did have really messed me up. And now I get to find out 40 years later that my mom had schizophrenia when she was raising me. Maybe if they had followed up on that adoption, they would have known this, and at least given my mom. Well, the thing is, they didn't know. Nobody knew. But maybe it would have been uncovered sooner. Now, in today's world, we have kids that live their entire first 18 years in foster care, getting shuttled from one foster home to the next. And lots of times, they never even, in their first 18 years, they never know what it's like to be loved by anybody. They get to feel like so much baggage being shipped from one place to another. They get to feel unwanted. They never get to know what it is to be cared about for real. It'd be like going to camp all the time. You're always in camp. I hear these kids go from one home to the next. They carry their belongings in black garbage bags, some of them. Like, how would you like it if your life was symbolized by the contents of a garbage bag? And there's so many of these kids in the foster care system. And a lot of these kids grow up and become criminals because, they just feel deep down that they were never wanted by their society. And so they don't feel like they need to fit in. They become criminals. I actually read a statistic recently that there are actually less criminals in our current culture because people that used to be born and put in foster homes and got to grow up feeling unwanted haven't been born at all because of the fact that abortion was legalized. Not only that, but a lot of women who might have died because whether or not you make abortion illegal or legal, women will continue to have abortions. And if you make abortion illegal, you'll have women getting illegal abortions, which causes them to die. Then you get to have women die because they don't want to carry a baby that they didn't want. So not only does the product inside the woman, the unwanted embryo, die, but in that case the woman dies too. So you get to see two lives lost, not just the one that was accidentally conceived inside the other. So really, making illegal abortion because some pious people want to say that their archaic book written by questionable people who claim that this was inspired by an unproven deity want to say that their ethics should reign over everybody else and control other people's lives and make women second class, demean women and make them into second class livestock anytime they should become pregnant and not want the baby. The government should just step in and take control of their lives. What? Lock them into breeding stalls and force them to have babies? Force prenatal vitamins down their throats? And keep them until they put out the baby like a Pez dispenser, and then what? Then the woman gets to have her life back? The baby goes where? Are these people that are going to, that are trying to take the rights away from women and make us so we can't have casual sex and meaningful physical relationships with people? Are they going to take these babies that nobody wants and raise them? These people that want to take the rights from other people because they think other people should have to follow their little ethics system. Are they going to raise these unwanted babies? Anyway, I'm off on a tangent. This is actually where I wasn't planning to go with this, but I guess this is where it's going. I'm really disgusted that we're back to this. This was the fight that my mom fought. This was the fight that my mom's generation fought. I got to grow up feeling like women were almost the same as men as far as our rights. We were almost there. We were almost equal. You know, the only thing we really had yet to do is get equal pay for equal work, which we still haven't gotten, and seeing a woman as president, which we still haven't gotten, but you know, we're getting closer. Now suddenly our most basic right of all is back on the table, and we've got the Republican Party right now that they're trying to shove into office. Never mind how fucked up the Republicans made our country for the last 8 years before poor Obama came along trying to fix this mess. We have people back that running for office that want to take women's rights away, and they want to prevent. I'm sorry, it's incredibly un-American to say that not everybody should have the same equal rights. That is not what America stands for. And we've got Republicans running for president now that they're against equal rights for all people, and they're against equal rights for women. They're against women's freedom to have the same sexual freedom that men have. They're against women having control over their own bodies. We're back to pre-1980. You know, but I'm sorry. What the fuck? It makes me angry that this archaic book keeps rearing its head and slamming down women. Do you know there was a time when the same mentality was against women having pain killers during birth because, the Bible says that women are supposed to suffer during birth, and so these people were actually against women having relief, having pain control while giving birth. The same mentality now wants to put chains on women and make us breeding stock. The moment we conceive against our wishes, for whatever reason. It's disgusting that we're going back to this mentality. It's absolutely disgusting and despicable. And the worst part is, we're in a world that is so freaking overpopulated as it is, that every day, I don't know if it's millions. I haven't actually seen the number, but I just know from reading different things, every day thousands of people starve to death in this world. Starve to death because there's not enough food. There's not enough to sustain everybody. You know, it's so unevenly divided, and it just seems wrong to me that there are starving children in this world, and we want to prevent women from having abortions to keep the population that's already way out of control. Are we supposed to breed like rabbits until one day there's just not enough food anymore for anybody? Breed like rabbits, mindless rabbits, until we're all dead because there's nothing left? Look at what happened to China. Are we going to get to the point where we're going to have forced small families because we didn't have the foresight to to slow ourselves down before it came to that? Because that's what's going to happen. If we continue to mindlessly breed because we have this stupid book running our lives and taking the freedoms away from half the population, one day it's going to happen, and it's probably going to be in my lifetime, that women are going to be allowed one child and one child only, and it will be enforced. They will, rather than saying that, we're going to force you to have a baby, they're going to say, we're going to force you to have an abortion because you only get to have one child. So while we're greedily trying to take advantage of this ancient book and force women to be breeding stock for men who think that women are property or should be property, one day we're going to be basically we're ruining it for a future generation. A future generation is going to be forced to have abortions against their will and only have one child when they want more than one, because we were so greedy and we insisted on having a society where women were forced to have babies and other families were having huge families because religion, again, is telling them that that's what they're supposed to do. Never mind how overpopulated the world is or how many kids are in foster care, not ever getting to know what it's like to be loved. So this was totally not what my video was about, but it became my video about overpopulation and going back to before the 80s and women losing their rights. And once again, we've got women's rights on the table and men looking at those rights going, should we let women have rights this year? What do you think? Should we let them have their rights this year, or should we take their rights away again? It's ridiculous.